A lot of you have been asking for goat videos, and I have been neglecting the goats lately, I realize. So here's some goats. So we're out in pasture 10. This is where all of our goats live. So we have 12 adults and one baby goat right now. And they all hang out here out in pasture 10 because they symbiotically live with our cows. So there's all the cows back there. Again, these are the yearlings or heifers that are too young to be bred. So they're all out here right now. And then all of our goats, they all live out here with the cows in pasture 10 because pasture 10 is the only one that we reclaimed from like forest area. So this was all overgrown when we moved in. It was an area that we weren't using on our property. It had honeysuckle and buckthorn and all these things in here that like were not native to this area, and we took all that stuff out, but without proper management, it will all come back. So that's where the goats come in. So the goats are out here because they will eat the things that the cows will not eat. Hi. So the cows will pretty much only eat the grass, and the goats will eat the weeds and the sticks and like things like that, like the saplings that are starting to grow and stuff like that. So they'll keep all that under control, and then the cows take care of the grass. So together, they naturally manage this pasture so that we don't have to do a whole lot of work. The only thing that nobody will eat is thistle. Like nobody will eat that. I don't even like touching it. So we'll come out here maybe once or twice a year with the mower, and we'll just go through and we'll mow all of the thistle plants down. But it's funny because everything will be eaten all around, and then there'll be like this one thistle plant that's like 3 feet tall because nobody wants to touch it. They're all out here except for two, because we have a baby and a buddy right now in the barn. So they're hanging out in the barn right now because they're being weaned. But yeah, everybody else is out here. And these are all full size. These are Nigerian dwarf goats. And we have one buck. That's Flappy right there, the little black and white guy. I wanted to name him Oreo, but the boys insisted on naming him Flappy because, you know, that makes more sense. So Flappy kind of oversees the herd here of goats, and they all just hang out here with the cows. And it's funny because when they're like running, it kind of sounds like Santa's reindeer because, you know, they all have bells on. Not for any particular reason other than for us knowing where they are. So when you come out here, it's like 10 acres, and so like right away you can tell where the goats are because they're like, you know, running and jingling. And then all the animals in here get their water and shelter from the north barn, which is not visible from here, but I know you guys have seen it before. It's the one that kind of looks over the pond. So that's where this pasture feeds into. So all of this connects to the north barn, and the north barn is our newest barn, and it is awesome. It is wonderful. And all of the animals can go in there, they can get food, they can get shelter, and then during the winter, that barn is heated. It's heated to the point of not having the water freeze. So it's not like 80 degrees in there, it's like 40 degrees. But it's heated so that the water doesn't freeze, so that when the streams out here freeze over during winter, the cows and the goats still have access to water, and the water in there never freezes because it's heated. So it's kind of how this area is set up and how our goats are set up out here with the cows. And pretty soon, these are gonna flip-flop. The cows that are out here will go back to the south barn, and all of the pregnant, they're really heifers. So I keep calling them cows. That's like my generic term. Sorry if it's confusing to anybody. These heifers, a heifer is a female who hasn't had a calf yet. So technically they're not cows, but I just use cows as a generic term. So all of these heifers will go back to the south barn, and then all of our cows or our bred heifers, like our confirmed pregnant heifers, will come out here, and that's where everybody will spend the winter. So our moms-to-be will be out here. They will have the largest area with access to the newer barn, and then all of our other like groups of animals will be in the south barn. So like our bulls will be over by the south barn. Our heifers that are not bred will be over by the south barn. Any like special needs animals will be over by the south barn for the winter, just so we can keep an eye on them. And like when I say special needs, that would be like if we had a cow that didn't get along with everybody else or was getting picked on. The more passive animals will like stand back during feeding time and wait for the more aggressive, when I say aggressive, like the more dominant animals to eat. And so because of that, sometimes they don't get enough food. So once in a while, we will take that bottom % of animals that like are just not really super assertive, and we will pull them into their own area so that they can get special attention, because we never want anybody to like not get enough food. I think I learned that from my dad. So everybody has to get enough food. So we separate them sometimes based on temperament. I guess that's what I was getting at. So we will do all of that rearranging before winter, and all of that will happen in the next, I would say, month or so, because it's mid-September right now. So we want to do it before, you know, it starts snowing and it gets cold, because it's much easier to move animals when it's warm out and when it's dry than when it is sleeting. So we'll get all of that set before winter, and everybody will be in their homes all winter long, and we'll kind of maintain and check on everybody. And then when we get close to calving season, when our first set of bred cows or heifers is due, then we do the opposite. So we'll flip-flop them again. We'll move all of the moms-to-be that are close to calving back to the south barn, so that we can keep an eye on them closer, because out here it's kind of it's the furthest away from everybody, so it's kind of harder to keep an eye on them. I mean, we're out here every day anyway, but when we move them back towards the south barn, we put them in our first pasture, which like literally everybody drives past on their way in and out of the property. And Mike and I drive by it every day, and the boys walk by it on their way to school, and all the employees drive by it, and all the vendors drive. Like everybody sees that pasture every day, multiple times a day. So that's where we put all of the cows that are almost ready to calve there, so we can keep a really close eye on them. Anyway, hope that goes over some of the things that we do. I know this started out as a goat video, and it quickly evolved into like pasture management, but I hope the people that came here just for goats are not upset. It would be kind of disappointing to come here just for goats and then get a whole video on pasture management. I'm probably gonna have to do another goat video, aren't I?